of ours got this is watching that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of ours got Peach a PlayStation 5 as well, so
Oh, cool.
she can play whatever. I don't know. I don't know what she wants to play on there, but she's been talking about playing Palia. I told her all about it. She's, of course, her only question was, what?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I think that was supposed to be on there. I know it's coming to Switch.
Oh, she got it on the Switch. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Her only question was, is there fishing?
Yeah. That's actually, you can just sink all day into fishing in Palia. It's basically Ocarina of Time fishing.
Yeah, that might be what she does. She likes fishing.
Like if you go to your lot where you're supposed to be building stuff up, there's like a little pond right there, and you can just like fuck off from doing anything else and just fish in your own pond.
Oh my god, she's gonna love that.
Yeah.
Do you get a fishing rod right at the beginning, or do you have to build it? Or
you get it, I think, after you build your first house. You do not have to craft or anything; they just give it to you. But I think you do have to. I think you have to build your house before you get it. It's somewhere around that time. It's either before or after.
Like before, like so. You mean like upgrade your tent to an actual house?
Yeah, it's like it's right around there. I just can't remember if it's before you do it or after, but it's close to it.
All right. And I saw that there's like multiplayer fishing, so we can fish together.
Yep.
Now, how does the multiplayer work? Do you everyone has their own sort of instance of a town, right? Or is it just an instance of their area?
There's like channels or whatever. In town, you see other people running around. So as long as you're like on the same channel or whatever, you'll see each other running around. You can do whatever you want in town. And then in your house, it's almost like an instance lot, like a ward for housing.
Yeah.
So your lot, you could just invite somebody over, or you can find them on the ward if they left it open. So, functionally, it's pretty full multiplayer.
Cool. Yeah, if I go silent for a minute, that's me coughing.
Yeah.
So, well, cool. Yeah, we're gonna try playing together and report back how the multiplayer is on that game.
Yeah, I have. I was gonna do a write up for the website and everything, and I had not gone back to that game after we talked about it last time.
Yeah.
I've just been doing other things. It's like it's sitting there on my computer. I probably need to update it. I haven't touched it. Fun game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now that she's got it and there's multiplayer, I'm sure I will be playing it.
Yeah. But welcome to the Vomitorium, everyone. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. Merry Christmas! A little early, but this is the closest to the holiday we're probably going to see you. We're going to bookend you on both ends of the holiday, right? It's like, there's today, even day is going to happen, and then there's going to be the Tuesday show, so I guess we can say Merry Christmas again after Tuesday.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. You got any plans for Christmas? You going to run over and see Peach?
No, she's going to run over and see me, actually.
Oh, okay.
So. Yeah, she's excited because I think this is really the first. It's just I was kind of going through it. I was like, how is this the case? Then I kind of realized because there's always been something preventing it. But basically, this is the first time I've really been able to give her a proper Christmas, with a tree, with presents, with Hopefully, I might go out and see if I can find some stockings or something to put candy in, and it's always been either I don't live here, which I didn't for a couple of years because of COVID, having to move to Alabama, or before that I was not in a particularly good place financially, so yeah, this will be the first Christmas where
it wasn't too far after Christmas that you ended up in your car, right?
Right, exactly. But I mean, but even before that, like the year before that, I wasn't in a great spot financially. So yeah, this will be the first Christmas where I'm here. I'm able to buy presents and a tree and all that stuff and decorate the place. And so yeah, she wants to come over here and basically spend Christmas here. So yeah, I didn't get her the PS5, but apparently somebody else did. A good friend of hers that wanted to get her something, but I did get her something to go with it though that I think she'll like. But
That's good. That's good.
I'm sure you can probably guess. It was another thing that I had to get off of Mercari because it's not available for sale anywhere at the moment. But yeah, I can show you if you want.
I guess if you want. I'm trying to think of what goes with a PS5 that's not available anywhere.
Can't guess it.
I'm just trying to think what's not available that goes with a PS5.
Well, at the risk of, I don't think she's watching. Oh, hopefully she's not watching. Peach, avert your eyes if you're watching. Let's see here. By the way, I don't look very good. I'm kind of sick, but I don't know. Might be sleeping sickness, or it might be a cold. I don't know. But yeah. Ta-da!
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
PlayStation Portal.
Well, telling her to avert her eyes really doesn't help if you're going to say the name of it too. But
oh yeah, avert your ears. I don't think she's watching.
I wouldn't even have thought of that because I'm just like, I didn't realize it'd be available at all. I was not paying attention to when that was dropping or what.
Yeah, it dropped like a month ago, but why is for some reason on my YouTube, like chat seems to disappear sometimes. So
I don't know.
This out. But yeah.
Also, hello. It's
sold out everywhere, so I had to get a secondhand, and again, had to pay a little bit above retail, but it wasn't that bad. It was like, you know, just. Yeah, it's actually remarkably reasonable from buying it from scalpers. But,
yeah,
it was worth it because you can't get it anywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, like we were talking about, at least scalping's not as big of an issue as it was during like 2020.
Yeah,
and part of it is because people are fed up with scalpers, so some are like, I'd rather just not have it than paying 3 to 4 times as much. So now you're gonna be paying like somewhere between like 1.2 to 1.5 as much. That's not as bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it retails for $200, and I think I got it for like $300 including shipping.
Yeah,
so
that's not horrible.
I was like, it's. I wish I could have gotten it for retail, but it's literally available nowhere. And Peach gets motion sickness playing video games on a TV,
That's
like a
weird.
big screen TV. Yeah, I don't understand it. She doesn't quite understand it, but this way she can play the PlayStation, kind of like a Switch. So
I knew a guy who had the opposite problem, right? And part of it is because he would drink, right? But he was getting older. I think he was probably in his 40s when this started happening. But he was a neighbor of ours back when I was in high school, and he liked to play the DS, right? And we always had like a spare around the house, and he would play Metroid Prime Hunters versus mode with me and my brothers. But he could only play for so many rounds because he would get motion sickness trying to play on that small system because of his eyesight and also being buzzed from drinking.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't really drink, but for some reason, when it's up on the big screen, I mean, it's probably just like action games, but she doesn't like turn-based RPGs anyway. So, something about it just makes her feel ill. So I was like, oh well. You're going to need a PlayStation Portal. When I got it, I thought that she would end up playing like on mine, either when she's here, or you can apparently play remotely, and people have said it works pretty well remotely. So I was like, oh, you just connect up to mine, no problem. But then somebody got her one, so I was like, oh, well, problem totally solved. So yeah,
Nice.
all good. Well, do you want a visitor?
No, I don't.
Oh,
You did ask
sorry.
before, can I come on the panel? I forgot to say no. No guests today. We're just chilling.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
No, it's good for bringing up. I saw his question too, and I forgot to direct it, answer the question, because we were just in the middle of talking. If we want, maybe Tuesday we'll let some people on, but only briefly if they want to tell us what they got for Christmas. I don't want to know what everybody got for Christmas before Christmas, because that means your surprise was ruined for you if you can tell me now. I'll wait till Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, you know what sucks is that apparently. Oh, wait, what? Digital, you can now read all about. Oh. Like, apparently, Game Informer and presumably other people have gotten Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and they're like ruining the whole thing. And I'm like,
I've
shut
heard.
up. The hell?
If it
Like,
was
it's
a game
not
I cared about, I'd be mad.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of care about it a little bit, but I'm like, okay. Like, it's not for sale for like 2 more months. The hell?
This is why some companies put review embargoes on things.
Yeah, why didn't they do that? It's annoying.
I don't know.
But, okay. So I see those and I'm like, oh, is it out now? Oh, no, it's not out till February. Hell.
It was an early Christmas gift for them to be able to ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah, I don't see it anywhere else. It seems to be only Game Informer. So I guess I'm going to be skipping that website for a while.
I don't know. I haven't liked Game Informer in a long time. I used to read the magazine back when I was in high school. I think a little bit after that, too, after I came back from college. Only because the subscription started coming with my GameStop Power-Ups Reward membership, which I have not renewed in a really long time because I just don't give a shit about GameStop. But I used to get the magazine with the membership, and I would read it. And it used to be all right. It used to be kind of like on par with a bunch of the similar magazines like PC Gamer and all that junk. But, God, it's just been awful. And I think when it merged, because I believe the actual production, like the publishing stuff, is part of IGN, or they started distributing digitally through IGN or something. I don't remember what GameStop started doing since they own Game Informer. But around the time that IGN started distributing the digital version of the magazine, their articles started plummeting. Don't know why, because IGN isn't as bad as Game Informer. So it can't be that they share staff or anything. That's just about the time that it started going downhill.
Yeah. Weird. Well, moving on from Game Informer. Did you know that in Baldur's Gate 3 you can get descriptions of everybody's underwear?
No, I did not know that. Nor did I want to.
Apparently there's a Reddit post where somebody discovered that if you inspect various characters, it will describe their underwear.
Yeah. See, Baldur's Gate, even going back, has always been one of those more adult, I would say. But like the first two were never quite like this. That's I don't know whether it's because they're the average person they're marketing to, their demographics are thirstier, or if the devs are thirstier than they used to be. But like, I don't know, every time I hear something about Baldur's Gate 3, it's out of hand.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know any of these characters
Yeah.
because I haven't played it. But do you want me to read you the descriptions of the underwear?
If you want.
Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
It's content. Let's do
Yeah.
it. So, if you're familiar with Baldur's Gate 3,
I don't know the names of any of the
not.
characters.
yeah, so I probably won't get some of these jokes, but Asterian's underwear has embroidered in it. If you're reading this, you managed to bed or behead me. Either way, you got lucky. Gale's underwear says energy crackles around these. Gale wouldn't. Surely he didn't enchant them. Halson says, "Why does it smell like an herb garden?" I don't get that, but Jahira's is embroidered with little ducks. Karlak, which must be some sort of flame demon or something. How do these not burn off?
Mm.
Lazel says, built for function rather than fun. I'm trying to see if there's any.
Like granny panties.
Minthara says, woven with as much toughened cobweb as cloth. And yeah, there's a few others, but they're not very interesting. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how Baldur's Gate 3 just became so horny. I really really don't. Hey, Buck's got an answer for you. He says Karlak is a tiefling with an infernal engine where her heart should be. Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Oh. Okay.
The tieflings are not demons, but they're kind of demon spawn or fiend, you know. Way back in their ancestry, there was a fiend like mix between them and humans, and they've just become a stable species of their own over time.
Yeah. This Joseph says, why was there so much porn in Baldur's Gate 3?
I don't know.
I guess the developers were horny. I don't know.
The previous ones were, for the most part, just mature, right?
Yeah.
Even any betting kind of like happened behind closed doors. This game is just horny.
I don't know. And Fizzoso also says Aquaman 2 is out and nobody cares. Yeah, I didn't even know it was out.
I heard.
Someone pointed out how few sales it's got, how few people are seeing it.
Only heard it was out because my dad watches late night talk shows for some reason.
Yeah.
But I do know.
Apparently.
Oh, what did you say?
I was going to say, apparently it's doing worse than the Marvels.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that's pretty bad for how much money they put into that stuff. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I know that Momoa has basically declared that he's not playing Aquaman going forward, which we kind of already knew. It doesn't really fit in them resetting everything to have the same Aquaman. Yeah. But that does leave the door open because he really he's done with superheroics, right? He wants to do comedies. That's what he really, really likes, is comedic stuff. But that doesn't mean he's done with superhero movies because he has stated that he wants to play a comedic role. We might, if we pray to some deity really, really hard, get Jason Momoa as Lobo, which he wants. That's the role he wanted. That's the role everybody wants him in. He would be perfect for it.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And I mean that's DC instead of Marvel, so he could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's DC.
Well, that's all I can find because I'm not feeling too well. But go ahead.
Oh yeah. Also,
I'll
Buck
let you
says,
drive.
There's only one character who's not horny at all times, and it's Minsk, for obvious reasons. I don't know any of the characters by name, so that there's not an obvious reason there for me. I'm sure if you describe the character, it would become obvious. But that's also because I haven't played 3, and anything that's shared from the previous ones. It's been so long since I've even touched 2 that I can't even remember a character's name. But
Yeah, I'm trying to see if
I've only
doesn't
watched
look- oh.
people play some
Oh.
of the game, and I don't remember the names of the characters from watching people play.
so Minsk has underwear description. It says tight, aerodynamic, and built for maximum breathability. Humidity is no friend to hamsters.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Buck?
Yes. So
Is Minsk
Minsk was in the previous games. He was basically a barbarian before barbarians existed in Dungeons and Dragons lore.
No. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
He is basically just someone who fights for justice and carries around a hamster
Yeah. Okay.
that he claims is a miniature giant space hamster.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, now you know what his underwear is like. You're welcome.
I didn't need to know that, but
I mean,
Burning
all
question.
I know is that he's the kind of person who was attacked by a mimic, just threw it to the side. His only complaint was that there was no treasure inside.
Okay.
so you guys want
Now we
you want a 23-year late Christmas gift?
Yes.
What?
Okay, so this goes back to the original PlayStation, right? For the game Alien Resurrection. Anybody remember the game Alien Resurrection?
Oh God, no.
Yeah, I think.
The Alien Resurrection on the original PlayStation was not that bad. But there was some cool thing in there. So back in the day, Sony, they still kind of do this. They make you submit every cheat code that's going to be in the game for approval, right? And if there's something in there that they don't like, they'll send it back, and you have to redo it, and you have to. I have to change something real quick. I just realized I did not know Buck was going to be barging in like this, so the video is not set properly.
You barged in, Buck. How dare you?
Yeah, as a mod, he has that power.
All the barging.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sorry. It's just I tried to say something in the chat because I felt like since I derailed it minorly, I needed to clear it up. But then, for some reason, YouTube stopped posting my comments.
That's good because I might just like pass out at any time, so it's always
Alright.
good to
Back up.
have cover.
Yeah. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, so they make you submit all of your cheat codes, and if they don't approve of it, they send it back, and you have to fix your game and remove the code or whatever. And Alien Resurrection had quite a few cheat codes, but there was one that the developer had never told them. He just kind of like hid it in there. The guy's name was Martin Piper, who was one of the developers who worked on the game. And inside of it, there was a code set to put the PlayStation into boot. So you could put the game in, you could use the cheat code, is this hidden code that's just in there, and then you could put any disc on there, and it would boot a ROM directly from the disc. So you could just play any bootlegged PS1 game using Alien Resurrection. And it's still there. And he didn't tell anybody about it. And he's like, yeah, it's been 20 years. I don't care anymore.
Say that again.
Yeah, so there's a cheat code in Alien Resurrection that puts the PlayStation into boot. And, like, without any restrictions or anything. So you load up the game. You use the code. You then open the lid, take the disc out, and put any disc that you burnt a ROM onto in there. And it will just play. it'll just boot up whatever you put in there, so you could play any bootlegged game without having to bypass or anything else, because the bypass for it is in the game that you previously loaded.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And of course, you never told Sony, because there's no way they would let that stay in the game.
Yeah. Too bad I don't have a PlayStation anymore. That's crazy.
Yeah. Now these days we just emulate, but
think of all the work that people put into trying to bootleg original PlayStation games, only to find out, oh, this is the key all along. Damn it. Funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
Good to
there's
know.
a video, too, that somebody put up, too. And it shows them with the original copy of Alien Resurrection running on a stock PS1. Then after the cheat code is entered, the actual PS1 game is removed, and then a burned copy of Silent Hill is inserted into the disk drive. And after a few seconds, the ROM just starts up without an issue.
Fascinating.
And one of the issues with it was the write protection, right? So the PlayStation could read burnt discs, but it only read burnt discs as a CD-ROM, right? So one of the cool things you could do with the original PlayStation is a lot of CDs at that time were starting to be written with MP3 files on it instead of like waves or anything. So anything that was an MP3 file could be read on the PlayStation. You could use it as a CD player or whatever if you wanted to. But that's the only way it would read burnt discs, mostly to protect against piracy. So you either had to put some type of bypass in the disc itself, which meant that was the first thing that needed to be read on the disc, or in this case, where the bypass came from some other disc that was already being read. So pretty
Very
neat
interesting.
system.
Well, have you? Well, no, I guess you have. But did you know that? Did you know that the fumes coming out of the Steam Deck's vents apparently smells very good?
No, I wouldn't know that.
I didn't know that either, but apparently Steam has issued. No, I mean, how many more people are going to try this now? Steam has issued a warning not to inhale directly the exhaust fumes coming out of the back of your Steam Deck, because apparently people are doing that because it smells so good.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, no, that sounds stupid. It was kind of like Nintendo, right? Where there's like, hey, we don't want kids eating our cartridges, so we're going to make them taste awful. So then everybody
Right.
starts tasting the cartridges.
Exactly. I mean, I'm definitely after the show going to be smelling the exhaust fumes coming out of the back of my Steam Deck because I want to know what it smells like now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
Apparently, they
deciding
said
to
there's-
hug your cabbie.
yeah, there's quote unquote no safety concerns with it, but definitely don't do it. Oh my god.
I would assume there should be safety concerns huffing in any exhaust, even if it's just
Yeah.
because the exhaust is fans moving heat, right? You're putting hotter air into your lungs, and you also don't know what particles got swept in there, right? And
Yeah,
it probably is
like-
whatever particles are already in your house, but like there's going to be denser dust per like cubic centimeter or whatever because it got sucked in and shot out.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably microscopic plastics and maybe, bits of whatever metal is in there. I mean, come on, people. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, but like anything, whether it was your vacuum or your computer, if there is a fan that is blowing air, that means it is taking particles that are already in the air, sucking it in, and blowing it out the other side. So if you were to measure it like per cubic centimeter, there's probably going to be more dust in the draft of that vent than there is just randomly floating around because it just got sucked in. So now you're just inhaling a bunch of dust, dead skin, all kinds of things that are just floating around inside of your house. Yeah.
Gross.
It's
Don't
I wouldn't
do it.
recommend it.
Don't do it, people. I will be doing it, but don't do it. I'll only do it once, I swear. I could stop any time. I'm not addicted. Damn
No.
it.
Mike Walters asks, "Hey Metal, did you tell Marsupial about how a tripod trio got a scoop on a Mason and JJ, and how a Skyhawk Alley ooped a Herky Bosco into Arizona Balloon Buster?" None of that makes any sense, but we were I was on his show last night. We were reading old comics, and the reason that sentence doesn't make sense is because he strung together pretty much all of the titles that we ended up reading into a sentence.
I was thinking maybe Mike had been huffing the exhaust from a steam deck or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Stop doing that, Mike.
And some of the titles were fun. We read some Golden Age comics, war comics, and funnies. And yeah, most of them were fun, except for one. I did not care for this. I think Skyhawk Alley was the one, or Skyhawks or whatever. Alley Oop was a different one, because it was just boring. There's like something happened eventually, but it was all dialogue. And it was more of them telling you what was happening than actually showing what was happening. And in comics, you need to both show and tell.
What is Arizona Balloon Buster?
Well, the Balloon Buster was an actual person. That was Frank Luke. That one was fine for them to just be telling, because it was basically a historical piece. They were talking about a guy's life. From World War I at the time of World War II. So this like a form of historical journalism in comics form, which I think we need more of. In that genre, that's perfectly fine. I think the Skyhawk one, though, was a piece of current fiction at that time, and it was even worse than the historical one. So,
Okay.
But yeah, Frank Luke was a guy who he basically had it out that he was going to take out all the German balloons in World War I. And there was even one time, like one day, he took out 5 like Zeppelins at the same time. He was pretty prolific. He got like a Medal of Valor when he got back. Yeah,
that's cool. Well,
but that's what I did last night.
That's cool. That's cool. In other news, well, 2 things actually that I just thought of that I was watching a video about yesterday. Number 1, and this is going to be a shock, but water is wet. But number 2, in related news, World of Warcraft Season of Discovery is full of bots farming gold.
Not surprised.
Yeah, I don't know which one of those 2 is more surprising, but you know, just thought I'd bring them up together.
Yeah.
Apparently, Asmongold did a video on the fact that he went to an area, or no, somebody put out a video of somebody who did a video. It's a video of a video of somebody filming these screens where they had literally 500 and something accounts all simultaneously farming for gold in Season of Discovery. Like up on these big screens. Is amazing.
And the real reason I'm not surprised is ever since I think it was around the time that they added the shop, right, where you could buy gold. And I think this is when they kind of stopped caring, because they knew most people would buy it over dealing with the bots. But ever since that, I know it's not a thing, but they haven't done anything to deal with bots at all, right? So Classic, where you don't have like the WoW token or anything, you still have to deal with the bots, and they still don't have a way of dealing with them.
I actually work with so one of my new coworkers
Mhm.
who got hired at the same time I did apparently was an old school bot farmer.
Oh,
Like
wow.
he sent he was like, yeah, hey, if you want to know who I am, here's an article. Apparently an article was written about him completely breaking the Ultima Online economy with bots. He was like, "Yeah, I did that." That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, Mike wants to let you know he does not do illicit substances.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That makes one of us. I'm hoping my illicit substances kick in any minute now, and I'll wake up. Well, they're not illicit. I mean, they're by prescription, but they're still,
Yeah. Well, technically, a prescription could be illicit still, because illicit doesn't mean it's illegal.
Yeah.
It just means that it doesn't follow customs. And I think even when necessary, opium specifically, which I don't think yours is that, but opium should be illicit, right? It should be culturally frowned upon and only administered when people actually absolutely need it.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, yes. I might have taken something in addition to Advil before starting, but we'll see if it wakes me up in a minute.
Yeah.
At any rate,
Hopefully.
just kidding, FBI. I just took Advil. It's fine.
Oh, the FBI doesn't watch us. We're under CIA watch.
Oh, I see. Yes, we're an international threat.
Yeah. Well, you have to be.
Well, that's all I
got an international audience.
Yeah. If I think of any other silly stories, I'll bring them up.
Okay, well, speaking of Blizzard, actually, it's about that time. It's what we've got 6 more days, but Bobby, Mr. Kotick is finally leaving Activision Blizzard. Who's been involved since on the Activision side since 1991 with the first Call of Duty.
Should we take bets on whether or not that's actually going to happen?
No,
I guess
actually, I think he's gonna leave. Like, Bobby doesn't need to stay at the company.
Yeah.
Bobby's rich. He's fine.
Yeah.
If anything, he probably won't stay at the Activision Blizzard side. There could be a chance that he gets hired by Microsoft to do something completely different, depending on whether he wants it or not.
Mm-hmm. Well, good, I guess. I mean, I don't know that he's really had
A lot of
a
people
huge
feel
effect.
like he has, though.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change anything. I think the biggest change is already that they're under Microsoft, which means they're going to have to handle business differently than they were before. But I don't know. It's like one of those signs of good faith that a lot of the people who've been upset with Blizzard are just going to feel better with Bobby leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell exactly, but sort of this direction they're going where they announced the next 3 expansions for retail
Yeah.
is kind of interesting, and it just, I'll tell you that they got to fix the storytelling. I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's the thing. Did I say this? I might have said this before, but like, sort of the elephant in the room that nobody, including Asmongold, who's been very vocal about the bad storytelling, a lot of people aren't just admitting the fact that, and this is not true of all people in this category, but
Yeah.
the fact that they let women take over the writing. I'm sorry, but that's what's done it. That's what's fucked
Yeah,
up the
you
writing.
know, I'm going to agree with that. But I'm also going to extend it that it's not even referring to females. a lot of the men that are on the writing team with those women, I might call a woman too. They just have people. A lot of them happen to be girls that just aren't appropriate for their writing staff, like whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad because it's like, and again, this is something we've talked about again and again. It's like it used to be big, sweaty, muscular men beating the shit out of each other.
It was a war story.
in new and interesting ways.
Yeah.
And now it's, oh, my brother is so mean and we need to stop him and come together and as a family. And like, oh my God, shut the fuck up and just kill each other.
If this was the old story, it'd be like, my brother's crossed the line for the last time. We just gotta fucking kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they could do that. They could have this brother-sister story that they have had.
It's been like 6
Dragonflight
times.
and
6 times already. We just gotta fucking kill him already.
Exactly. Like, no, we don't need to convince him what he's doing is wrong. The way we convince him is by killing the fuck out of him.
Yeah. The classic Warcraft way of solving problems.
That's right.
Like, if we go back to the old games before it was even WoW, which a lot of the WoW storytelling obviously followed suit of the original games. Do you know how many people died in Warcraft?
Yeah.
Named people, not just cannon fodder.
Yeah. It's not, stand around and try to talk sense into the bad guy craft.
Yeah.
It's fucking Warcraft.
Bloody battles between different races and factions.
Yeah, when was the last time a main character actually died horribly? I don't,
Yeah.
Sure it's happened here and there, but come on. Whatever. But like also like they need to like almost reboot, like because I mean the reason that Classic has problems, but at the same time, a lot of the problems force you to join a group.
Yeah.
Like it's the difficulty, like it's so much harder to solo these multiplayer, dungeon things like that and things like that. Nowadays you can solo stuff all the time. It's like it forced you to join a group. It forced you to overcome these difficult problems. It would be nice if they if they kept things like or added things like more what do you call them, flight points, so you wouldn't have to walk around so much, but still they just made it.
Like, is that a quality of life change that a lot of people like? Sure. I feel like being forced to walk around from place to place does make even the more repetitive parts of the game feel more like an adventure.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, and I was watching a video on this yesterday, is that the original World of Warcraft, like vanilla, had all these it was like a bunch of vignettes, right? You'd be in an area, they'd have a bunch of stuff to do, and then you got to go to a different area. And which different area? I mean, kind of says maybe you should go here, but you don't really need to. You could go someplace else and see what the little vignettes were there. Now it's very linear. Do these things, and now you need to go here and do these things, and now you have to go to this other set place and go do that. It's less of a, and somebody said this, they turned World of Warcraft from an MMO into a game. It's no longer, from a role-playing game into a video game.
Yeah.
So you no longer make your own adventure. It's here's the adventure we have laid out for you. Go play this thing that we did.
Yeah, it's more of, instead of being a kind of just open just playground of a world where you were trying to figure out what was going on, because there's always been a narrative to Warcraft, but it was kind of something that you were participating in rather than something that just happened to you. They did try to make more of like just a straightforward linear narrative based game that has been happening to a lot of just MMOs in general, right? Yeah. Like I could take Final Fantasy for example. Final Fantasy 11, is there a narrative in it? sort of technically. Like there is a main story, kind of happens to you as you go along through the world. You have to figure out what you're doing. By the time they get to A Realm Reborn in 14, right? Because the original version of 14 was again narrative, but a lot closer to 11. By the time they get to Realm Reborn, it's straightforward linear story going through, and it's just happening to MMOs as a genre. There's very few that are giving you that kind of evolve in the world at your own pace and direction that they used to.
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot, I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about responding to Mike saying, I didn't technically accuse you of illicit substances. I just said maybe you were breathing a little too much exhaust from your Steam Deck.
Which there's no illicit substance involved in that whatsoever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course I was kidding. Yeah, it turned you into just a participant in this amazing world, into the hero of the story. Like, if you wanted to be the hero of the story in vanilla World of Warcraft, you just had to imagine that you were.
No.
But
everybody was. You were participating in a war.
Yeah. But like now it's you personally, the one and only you're the one and only hero of the world.
Yeah.
And we're going to lead you through this story that leads you to be the hero of the world. It's like, it's good for players who don't like MMOs.
Yeah. And they'd be like, woo, I'm going to be a light warrior.
Yeah. It's not so good for the people who are fans of MMOs.
It's MMO culture has changed, right? Because I think most people that play MMOs now prefer that way, right? Yeah. Looking at the massive success of 14, or the fact that like population-wise, retail WoW is actually still high. Like their average population of active players, PvP is at an all-time low, and you're like, well, how can the population be higher than it was a few years ago? It's still not at its peak, but still higher than it was. But PvP is lower. It's like, well, that's because the culture's changing. Some of those older people who like the way MMOs used to be, it's not our type of game anymore, and it's just becoming increasingly harder to find games that we like.
And there's more of them than there are of us. I get that. So that made sense from a business perspective.
Yeah.
But it is actually really great. It's really fantastic that Blizzard said, well, you know what, we're gonna put out a game, classic and Season of Discovery, that appeals to people who like the old school MMOs. So that's great.
Yeah. Well, and like, I think it's all one subscription, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's my big problem with over Final Fantasy, because they still have their old MMO. Like, they don't have to really do a classic. 11's still there, but you have to pay a completely different subscription to play it.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and I'm like, I want to play both games, but I don't want to pay for just 11.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
And that's what, yeah. I mean, and like I said, like I've said before, I haven't played World of Warcraft in like at least a decade, but I went ahead and reactivated my account, and I am paying a monthly subscription so that I can play classic Season of Discovery, because I'm having a ball. It's great.
I do think that going this route, though, is kind of weak, right? For your in-between expansion numbers, right? Like if you're trying to keep the subscription. And this is probably one reason why I do agree that they can make Game Pass cover subscription, but I don't think it can ever cover the cost of the game, or else the game itself would go broke. And the reason for that is the story is the only thing that drives the modern sales with the modern type of audience for the MMO. In between story, a lot of them drop off, or they'll barely play. They'll come back in for one thing or another, but they won't stay long term, because what they're looking for their single player adventure, but also a metaverse or a place where they can hang out, which is one of the things. Final Fantasy does this better than Warcraft, though. A lot of the other things I think WoW is actually doing better than 14. But they're looking for a place to hang out with people, like their little metaverse where they can chill and talk and everything. And that'll keep you paying for your subscription for maybe a month or two after you're done with the expansion. But it's not going to have you pay for it continuously, because eventually you get tired of doing nothing in the game until like the next expansion comes out. While the old players would stay in it consistently because there was always something you were doing. So, since the socialization was built around the stuff you were doing in the game, it was kind of more fruitful than the type of socialization people have now.
Yeah, and I will say I think it's a mistake for them to upgrade the classic Frozen Throne, or what? Not Frozen Throne, but what was it? Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah, they went from Wrath of the Lich King to Cataclysm, and I'm like, and a lot of people are kind of not psyched about that I kind of agree. Like, Cataclysm was the beginning.
It was the downfall.
World of Warcraft, right? It's like, wait a minute, that's not classic anymore. Classic is vanilla, Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King. That was classic, and now they've upgraded that.
All need to be on different servers too, right? Like when you get to the end, they should give you the option of whether you want to port that character over to a new server, or even maybe duplicate, so you could just keep it. But like, you have to retain the ability to just stay in vanilla or even Burning Crusade.
Well, you can stay in vanilla.
Yeah, so I know you can stay in vanilla, but Burning Crusade became Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of okay with that. I'm not playing those servers right now.
Yeah,
but
well, even Burning Crusade, it was kind of the real beginning of the end. While it and Wrath are still fun and they're still classic, it did fundamentally change what World of Warcraft was, going from vanilla to Burning. So it's like you're already kind of taking a step too far with that, I
guess. But yeah, I mean, but at least they do have the vanilla ones that you can just stay in vanilla. Like, they're never going to, presumably, I'm never going to move on. But I would have, for the sort of the secondary, I don't know what you call it, the classic plus a few, I don't know what they call it. If I were them, I would have just stayed with Wrath of the Lich King and just said, okay, that's as far as we're going to go with this. Because Cataclysm is a total departure.
Yeah. Also, the Freudian slip of Frozen Throne, better game. Just in general.
Yeah.
I like Wrath. It was an okay expansion, but Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne is just a better experience. I could go back and replay that anytime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got that installed. I haven't played that in a while, but yeah, I wish they would. Well, I do and I don't, but I wish they would come up with a Warcraft 4 that was along those lines. And
I keep saying, I just want it to be a different timeline. Just Warcraft 4 completely ignores anything that happened in WoW.
Oh yeah, totally. Just pretend WoW doesn't exist. Well, what would have happened if they'd come out with a Warcraft 4? Yeah, that would have been great.
When are we going to get a Warcraft 2 movie?
Apparently, Warcraft 1 movie didn't do too well.
I wish it did just well enough to get it to. Because all the complaints, I did think it was an enjoyable movie.
Mm-hmm. I've watched it a couple of times. I liked it.
And I think a lot of complaints too. It wasn't just visually. Yeah, there were some problems. It was no Lord of the Rings. What were they expecting? But aside from that, I think the real problem is that a lot of the people that went to watch it watched it thinking it was going to be World of Warcraft. Right, because that's their experience. It's like, no, this is going back to the drawing board. This is Warcraft.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember somebody made a joke poster. It's like, poster for the Warcraft movie. The poster if it was a World of Warcraft movie. And he had like pauldrons the size of his fucking head, and like the armor was bright pink and lime green.
I mean, and the Warcraft movie kind of covered Warcraft 1 and 2.
Yeah, more or less.
So if they made another Warcraft movie, it should cover Warcraft 3 and go into Arthas, going and defeating the the Lich
Oh,
King and becoming the new Lich King, and that would
Yeah,
be
they could just
fantastic.
they could start back with the returning turmoil between the humans and the orcs, because that happened again.
Yeah.
And then it could feed into, oh, what are these undead things that are coming up out of nowhere? We didn't have to deal with
Yeah.
this before.
Oh my god, that would be so epic. That would be
Yep.
fantastic as a movie.
I would love
It
that.
basically
be
covered
better
the
than the
story
first
of
one.
Warcraft 3. Yeah, yeah.
Because Warcraft 3 is the best story out of all of them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Warcraft 2 is great. I do,
Yeah.
but I think Warcraft 3 is the best story in Warcraft.
I mean, Warcraft 2 didn't have much of a story. It was just there's this the gate to another world, and we got to go destroy
Yeah.
it. That's pretty much it.
And more of a story than the
Great.
first one.
Yeah. Well, Warcraft 3 even covered like the destruction of the world tree and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, the demons coming, and yeah, that'd be fantastic.
There's not been a single story in World of Warcraft that is as good as the story in Warcraft 3.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
hoping that the next 3 expansions do, because they're gonna talk about that sword that's been sitting there for forever. That
They're
like
bringing
some-
back up the world tree.
Yeah, I guess Sargeras or some demon stabbed the world, and then they just were like, "Oh, yeah, that happened, but we're not going to talk about it anymore." And yeah, maybe
Yeah.
they'll have a good story for the next
Maybe.
expansion.
I'm not going to hold my breath, but maybe.
But they also, like I said, they need to reset it with all of the ridiculously complex mechanics. Just get back to the basics.
Yeah. Oh, because you brought up PS5 earlier. Are you ready for the good news?
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab a drink, but I can still.
PS5 is finally a console. And by that I mean, it hit 50 million units sold as of November, which means it's actually at a median sales, like unit sales, for a modern console, or any since consoles went international. So it's no longer just above a blunder. It is actually at median console sales.
It's no longer a Wii U. Yes.
Yeah. It's a
Well, that's
legitimate
good.
console now. If people can feel free to invest into it, that because that's always been a big problem, because it doesn't really have that big of a library. But
Mhm.
it doesn't look like they're going straight to the next console in the next couple years or anything. So maybe looking at the fact
Yeah.
that 50 million people own this console now, which actually that's probably not true. A lot of them are probably second purchases or trade-ins or whatever. But that being the fact that it's at median numbers, maybe you'll start seeing a little more investment in other companies than just Sony.
Mhm. That'd be great, because as much as we don't, at least you and I don't like Final Fantasy Remake. The Rebirth one looks interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
you
I don't know.
It's got Zack. It's got Kate Sith. I'm sorry, Cat She, whatever the fuck you call it.
It should be Kate
Yeah.
Sith, because
I know.
well, if it was
stupid.
Irish, it would be Kusif, but or Kasif, depending on what area you're in. But it's not the Irish word, even though it's based off of that myth.
Yeah.
In the Japanese, it is Kaitu Sifu, which is just saying Kate Sith. That's it.
Mhm.
And when somebody names something, it doesn't matter what the name is based off of. It does matter what they pronounce it. So
Yeah, exactly. Like, actually, I was just talking about this with Peach, because it bothers her when people call her Porsche a Porsche. She was like, "Yeah, I know that's the Italian pronunciation, but how do you pronounce Volkswagen?
yeah,
Do you pronounce it Volkswagen? No, you call it Volkswagen."
I actually
Like,
it would be
that's
almost
the
an F.
American.
It'd be like Volkswagen, right?
Yeah. Do you call it Volkswagen? No, that's not how you pronounce it in American.
Yeah. So like it, and I'm kind of a stickler, but it depends what I'm talking about. If I'm talking about the historical figure Julius Caesar. I would prefer to say his name properly. But if we're talking about the character based off of him in Shakespeare's play, it's Julius Caesar because his whole play was in English. Or if we're talking about somebody who was named after him, the name is in English is Julius or Caesar.
Yeah. Also, it's I always use the example of Amarillo, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pronounce it Amarillo because that's yellow in Spanish.
Oh well, it depends who you are. There's a lot of native Spanish speakers in there that would call it Amarillo, but yeah, Amarillo. You don't even say the O really. It's kind of like a sound. It's Amarillo.
Yeah. That's like what is it?
Lancaster, Texas. It's not Lancaster.
Yeah.
It's Lancaster.
Yeah, or there's lots of other examples.
A lot in just this area, right? It's not New Braunfels, right? New Braunfels, like you would in German. It's New Braunfels. It's just like an O sound. Oh, New Braunfels.
I know what I was trying to think of. Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's not Louisville or Louisville. It's Louisville. It's two syllables. Louisville.
Nolans. Instead of New Orleans, it's Nolans.
No. That's New Orleans.
No,
New Orleans.
You ask a native person, they're like, "Welcome to Nolans."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it just things are different depending on where you are, who's speaking it, what language.
Yeah, but I like Kate Sith, and I'll be fascinated to see what happens with Zach. I just saw an article actually that the creator thinks there's going to be a Zach scene that just blows your socks off. It's going to be amazing. I don't know what that's going to be.
The fact that Zach's in it is why I lose interest.
Yeah, I gotcha. I understand. Yeah.
What I haven't heard his voice. I don't know who the voice actor is for Kate Sith, but I loved his voice in Advent Children. Right, being the fact that a Kate Sith is a Celtic creature, right? Celtic myth. They gave him like a Scottish accent. I guess that was the closest one they could pick, but it was perfect. It's just this tiny little robot doll with this really harsh, heavy Scottish accent sitting on top of Red 13.
He's on top of Red 13?
In Advent Children, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't have his big Moogle doll that he sits on. He's just on Red.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Who also, I think, only speaks once in the movie at the very end at the pool scene.
Well, so and of course the question on everyone's mind is Aerith going to die or no?
The answer is both.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a superposition.
Yeah, is Rebirth going to end with that scene, and is it going to be like will she, won't she, or she does and she doesn't, or
technically because time travel is involved, Aerith had already died. That's how she ended up in the live stream in the first place, to be able to have her consciousness go back or whatever.
It's going to be Schrodinger's Aerith. I guess we'll find out in 2 months, despite the fact that other websites are ruining it for us. I refuse to click on any of these stories.
I refuse to play the game. That's what's going on.
Well, okay.
I'm just gonna, I don't know, go back and play the original Final Fantasy VII for like the 12th time.
Well, after watching the Final Fantasy VI review by the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Oh god, I kind of want to play that one instead.
Earlier, I know. I'm like, I want to play that again. It's like, man, I not only played it again, which I'd already beaten it when I was a kid, but I had every character had every spell, and I did not raise up to level 99, but I got high enough that the ending was extraordinarily easy.
Yeah, listen, I like 7. Right. I need to tell that to people because people apparently don't believe that. I like 7. I think 7 is a great game. 6 is just a better game.
Yeah.
You know? And even like James was getting on that when he was talking about it because he's just like, he kept calling it the greatest game ever made over and over again until Chrono Trigger came. Well, that might be the other greatest game ever made. But
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VI, at least as far as RPGs go, it is probably the best grand like JRPG experience you're going to have. The whole cast is likable. Everybody gets fleshed out. Yeah, even in the second half where you have to go and recruit everybody, everyone also has a story mission that kind of wraps up like their personal problem in the world.
Yeah.
So nobody feels like they're left empty-handed. It doesn't have like this big problem that like shonen anime have where they build up this cast and you really only ever care about like 2 or 3 of them because everybody else's problems get pushed to the side. Like everyone gets wrapped up, and the villain is so great that he actually succeeded at what he wanted, and you have to clean up the mess. Like it's probably one of the best villains written in video game history, and it has a good 3-act structure with a great finale, almost like an opera.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's just so good.
I was thinking about, because in the review he says like, when you get to the world of ruin, you're only halfway through, and I was trying to think like, well, wait a minute, I didn't think the world of ruin was quite as long as the first half, but when I think about it, like actually kind of was, because you do have to. Oh really?
If you do everything.
Yeah, for some reason.
I
don't remember it that way. Yeah, but I'm sure you're right. Because if you have to wrap up the story of all, whatever it is, 16 characters or whatever, however many.
Yeah. Asian storytelling doesn't use 3-act structures. That's not true. They use several different structures, and 3-act is one of them. The thing is, we also used to use several different story structures, but for some reason, and I think it's because of our schooling for storytelling and film and stuff, we've kind of boiled it down to just 3-act. It used to be common that we would have a 4-act story structure too. Famous French play Chanticleer is a 4-act play.
Well, yeah, that one definitely does.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other Final Fantasy that follow 3-act. Most of them follow like a 4-act structure where they'll have like basically an introduction prologue act, then there'll be the actual main story part of the first half, then there'll be like the main story part of the second half, and then there'd be like a closing act, right? That kind of is about the same length as the prologue. A lot of the games follow that. Like Final Fantasy V, right? There's the whole part where you're getting introduced to everything, all the characters. Then you there's the second part where you're actually hitting most of the crystals. Then you find out there's another world which kind of starts the second part, and where you find out the actual problem to the story. And then there's a final closing act with the void. So a lot of them follow that. I think 4, though, actually also follows a 3-act structure.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I don't know if it's subconscious, but I wonder if that's part of why those are the ones that they released in the U.S. Because I think the story
I think it's just a timing thing.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Right. Because I know one of the reasons like 4 was released is by the time they had finished translating, like the first one already, the Super Nintendo was already almost out, right? So they were just going to go straight to the next one instead of translating the other 2.
Yeah.
And I think by the time 4 was done, 6 was ready to be translated. I think that was a main reason. I don't think it's because they thought the job system was going to be too confusing, but a lot of people like threw that out. I do think it was just a timing thing for both 4 and 6 being 2 and 3 here in the States.
Yeah. Well,
but
fine.
they do both
fine,
happen
then.
to follow that 3-act structure.
Yeah.
I think the bigger thing is, unlike us, where our storytelling has become so commercialized and even before that, so rigid through our teaching methods, right? If you go to college to learn how to tell stories, whether it's for film or play or anything, you're pretty much going to be taught strictly to write things in a 3-act structure. Over in a lot of the Asian countries, specifically Japan, they just don't really restrict their storytelling. So they use 3-act structures and they use 4. I've actually even seen like a 7-act structure for storytelling. They don't hold themselves down. It's whatever it ends up being, whatever works for the story. Which I think we should do a little bit more. I'm even whenever I get back to it for my novels of X Dynamis Chaos, that's a 4-act structure right there. Just because as I was cutting it down, it felt most appropriately to do it in 4 acts.
Yeah. And I'd say the like Tears of the Kingdom follows a 3-act structure. Pretty much.
Yeah. More or less. I would even say Breath of the Wild did as well. Right? You've got Link kind of relearning about the world. Then it's him doing like the Divine Beast, and then him doing the final encounter, really. Like you could boil it down, that's the basic story of the game.
Yeah. I found out actually by what was I watching? Something about Tears of the Kingdom, that I guess if you get to the end without the Master Sword, which you don't have to get, apparently you get it in the dragon scene.
Yeah. yeah, I was told that.
Yeah.
A lot of people found that out because for speedrunning, they just skipped the Master Sword.
Right. I don't know what I was watching about that, but yeah, somebody showed how, because you need it to defeat the final boss. So. But anyway.
Oh, actually, I forgot that I had pulled this up, right? So, we were talking about the K-Sith thing. Following Rebirth, that whole argument, the director said, it's spelled exactly, or it sounds exactly as it's spelled, Kate Sith. But he made a side comment just to tease people, saying it said Charlie.
What?
Yeah. Kate Sith, the name's Charlie, and we're just going to call him Charlie from now on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the guy controlling him?
No, I think that's just a joke. So we're just gonna call him Charlie. You can call him Cat She, which is another way you would say it in Irish, or Ketchi, right? Ketchi. But nope, we're just gonna call him Charlie. I think that's so much better.
That's random.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll call him that from now on.
So I had a list of indie games coming out next year. But I have not gone over it yet. I figured that's something we could do. Because I don't know if any of these are even interesting. Like, I typically prefer indie games. But just a lot of them have been kind of blasé.
Okay.
Yeah, so first things on the list, The Gecko Gods, which is a puzzle-based game about a gecko setting on a quest to find their friends. So,
write this down.
Yeah, we're gonna write down.
If you're gonna say good indie games, I want to know. I've got
I
a
don't know
long
if it's a good
weekend
indie
here.
game though. This is the list of all the indie games that are already planned to come out next year, whether they will or not.
Oh, next year.
Yeah, this is the
Okay.
upcoming indie games, right? So the first one on the list is the Gecko Gods, where you will explore a mysterious island as a lizard, using its agile moveset to climb cliffs and stuff, and it's mostly a puzzle game. It's basically to be Breath of the Wild, but you're a gecko. more or less. just doing gecko things.
So does that mean you can climb walls without slipping?
Yes, because you're a gecko, and you're gonna eat bugs and everything, gecko style. The next one is The Mermaid's Tongue, which is a follow-up to Tangle Tower, the 2019 murder mystery detective game. So this is going to be a murder mystery detective game from SFB Games. And this one seems a little interesting just because I like murder mystery games. I like those old like point and click detective games and everything. And you're going to be investigating the murder of Magnus Mortuga, who's the captain of the world's strangest submarine. And it's not going to be point and clicker. I think it's going to be. No, it doesn't look point and click. It's just that the entire environment is rendered in 3D now. The previous one was a little more artistic. But yeah, detective games, I like those. That one seems a little interesting. We have Haunty, which is a adventure game by Moonloop Games. And you will take the role of a ghost who is looking for answers. That's all I got. There's going to be some puzzles. The aesthetic of it looks nice. It's almost got like this monochrome. It's not quite black and white. The white's got like a slight tint to it, but it's basically black and white, almost isometric. And you're just going to be going over these environments. You're going to be using twin stick controls to blast past foes, navigate obstacles, and solve puzzles as a ghost. We also have Little Kitty Big City, which the only image we got for that is this cat with a big piece of bread in his mouth. It looks very cartoony. And it's a adventure game where you play an adorable cat and you make your way through a city as your playground and explore to your heart's content. So it's just cat and city. Yeah, that's... What more could you want? You just play a stray cat doing shenanigans in a city.
All right. This is a little different from Stray, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, mostly what you're going to do is you'll be making friends with other animals. There are quests and stuff. But it's going to be a sandbox game where you play as a cat.
Cool.
Then we have...
Like an anthropomorphic cat?
No, just an actual stray cat in the city.
Just like Stray.
I don't think it's just like Stray, because I don't think it's going to go in that wild direction that Stray did. It's going to be like Grand Theft Auto, but you're a cat.
Okay. Sounds cool.
Yeah. Then we have Ghost Bike, which aesthetically looks pretty cool. And it's an adventure game from Needhog, where you play as a streetwise kid from Free Hub City, and you set out to bring back ghost bikes, who are said to be magical couriers that rode between the world of the living and the world of the dead. So you're going to be a delivery boy. It's going to be semi-open world, and you get to discover bike parts and customize your bikes. It's the new age version of Paperboy, I guess.
Neat.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Is that it?
Tim's here. How you doing, Tim? So this game gives everybody the chance to be a pussy? Yes. In the most literal way, you get to be a pussy in the open world cat adventure game known as Little Kitty Big City. After that, we have Tracks of Thought, which is by Tidbits Play, which you take the role of a lost ladybug aboard a train. I'm looking to see if it says what type of game it is here in the description, though aesthetically it kind of reminds me of Paper Mario or what was that game? Bug Fable, I think was the name of it. But it's got like that kind of pop-up book, cartoony look to it. And you're on a train. And it takes a strange turn when the train goes through a mysterious tunnel and causes everyone to forget what their destination actually was. It's here we go. It's card-based battle system.
Oh. Not to be confused with Tracks of Thought, where you're an e-girl on a train and, trying to get guys to subscribe to you for...
E-girl on a train, and you forgot why you're wearing clothes.
That's right. Tracks of THOT.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just came to me.
No, that was funny. We got Tiny Glade, which is buildings. If you want to make buildings, you're going to be creating homes or cities and little castles for a sandbox builder that takes place in like a medieval setting. So if you like Tiny Glade.
Tiny Glade.
Yeah.
You're not really.
Like in a valley or whatever.
Do you start out in a glade and turn it into
I think so.
Town? Okay.
You're going to be in a small forested valley, and you're gonna turn it into a full like medieval kingdom or whatever. That's what it's looking like. And everything is made with these little dioramas, so that's kind of cool. Like the images look nice. Oh, and then we have I think I've seen this one before. Barely. After Love EP, which is a narrative adventure / dating sim and rhythm game. I'm pretty sure we've seen a trailer for this in one of like those indie showcases somewhere. It just still hasn't come out yet. And yeah, it's like you're a musician, like a hobbyist musician getting into a band or whatever, small time. And it's going to have dating sim stuff. It's going to have the rhythm game in between being functionally a visual novel.
Mm-hmm.
God. Pacific Drive. That one actually wasn't that interesting. It's a driving game.
Okay.
It's a survival game, but like we don't have to talk about another Crab's Treasure. We talked about that one in an indie showcase. That's the one where you play as the crab. It seemed very Breath of the Wild like under the water. Also kind of gave me Alice Madness Returns vibes, but more bright and colorful, and you're a crab.
Yeah.
Paper Trail is a puzzle game. People keep calling. I'm not going to use their definitions. I don't know if this is charming. I can't tell. Stop trying to gaslight me, article.
It's charming, damn it. Be charmed.
Yeah, but it's a puzzle game where it's an adventure, takes place in a paper world, and since everything is made of paper, the world itself can fold, rotate, spin around, kind of like Super Paper Mario in a way. A lot of the puzzle aspects remind me of Star Tropics. It just doesn't look like it has any action to it. It's just adventure and puzzles. What is this? The Plucky Squire, by developer All Possible Futures, is a... Oh, that's actually a weird name. It's got a storybook. Right, so it goes from 2D to 3D, where the hero of this 2D story jumps out into the home that the storybook's in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna have like some Super Mario Odyssey Chibi Robo kind of vibes to it, right? So there's stuff you'll do in the book, and then you'll do stuff in the actual like room that the book's in. That's interesting. I'm gonna keep an eye on this one. The visual alone already caught my eye when I saw it, but it's called The Plucky Squire. I want more Chibi Robo games, okay? Like actual Chibi Robo, but any game that wants to be like Chibi Robo 2, I want it, since Nintendo's not really giving it to us. No, that one looks lame. That one looks lame. A tea game, I guess. Oh. Loose Leaf In-Depth Tea Simulator by the developers of Boyfriend Dungeon.
Oh.
Yeah. Where you make tea for guests. But all your visitors have troubles of their own to share, and as a witch, you'll all be able to like do tarot readings and help them solve their problems. So I don't know if you're into that kind of thing. I'm probably gonna pass it. Locomotive though, I'm pretty easy to please. I like trains. I'll probably try that other train game we were talking about. Pixelated murder mystery from Robust Games that takes place on board an express train in the 1930s. So hey, Murder on the Orient Express. I'm always fine with things like that. My favorite Paper Mario levels are ripping off of Murder on the Orient Express. Again, I'm very easy to please. I like pixel games. It actually, visually, kind of looks like the direction that I wanted the game we almost made with Cat and Pope Raven to look like. So, I'm probably going to give it a try.
Yeah. Which maybe we'll make someday.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, we'll make it without them. We'll add blackjack and hookers on a train.
That was so funny that like Cat got all just like stressed out because we would just because we asked her questions.
Well,
What
it's
would you
because
think
it's because we actually wanted to make a game, and then she found out it was like that Dane Cook joke. She found out that all she wanted to do was play around in a game engine, which is fine, right? But she just had to figure that out herself. It was like, because I say the Dane Cook joke. There's this Dane Cook joke where he talks about doing like a breaking and entering, a B&E, right? But when he actually finally does it and he kicks the door in, he realizes he didn't actually want to break and enter somebody's house. He just wanted to kick a door in. So for extra measure, he went like to the next room over or whatever and kicked another door in and then left.
They are.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. So that was Kat. She wanted to make a game, but it turns out she just wanted to play around in a game engine. It's perfectly acceptable.
Perfect.
It just would have helped us to know that ahead of time, so we wouldn't have wasted all the effort of actually trying to pitch a game.
But we didn't like waste that much effort. Like,
No.
it was fun
Luckily,
on
it happened
our
really
part, too.
fast, right? It's not
Well,
not
but-
like we made a whole bunch of assets or like
Yeah.
programmed a demo or anything, and then she found out like I really don't want to make it.
Yeah. But it was like, I it was frustrating to me because I was like, we're not putting pressure on you, and the fact that we put a little bit of effort into it, it
Yeah.
was fun on our part too. So I didn't even feel like any of it was a waste of time.
Oh, I
It was
think
just
another thing too was it was
a fun thing to do.
widely supposed to have been Pope Raven's idea, and a lot of the pressure was like we couldn't ask Pope Raven directly because he was never around. So then like we'd ask Kat something, he's like, I'm gonna have to go ask Pope Raven this. I'm gonna have to go ask. So then she just kind of became a middleman. So I understand that part. It's just like she wants to answer the questions, but she can't because she doesn't have the
Yeah.
answers.
Plus, like, if it took her a month to answer a question,
We would have been fine. We weren't in a
you
rush.
know, we had other jobs. It's not like we were like, come on, we got to get this done.
Yeah.
We were just like, okay, game sounds fun. Let's talk about it. And then not too much pressure. I was like, come on, who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever. It was funny. I love those guys.
Yeah, they're great. I haven't seen. Well, actually, I think I saw because Pope Raven's got a different name now. I think I saw him in Rick's chat recently, but I haven't seen Cat in forever. Anything else that looks good? A lot of these, all the good stuff was at the beginning. Yeah. I'm sure they'll
Just
be
'cause-
enjoyable. That's the cool thing about indie games is it's whatever floats your boat. Unlike the AAA industry, there actually is a little something for everyone. You can find your niche in indie games. It's kind of like in our neck of the woods with indie comics and stuff. If you don't like what the industry's doing, that's fine. There's something for you hiding out there by some independent creator.
See, when you said locomotive, I was thinking, oh, it's a train simulator. And I was like, oh, that would be interesting to me.
Yeah.
Not
But it's
just
Loco
being on a train.
dash motive because of like murder mystery. So you're like motive.
Oh.
Yeah. And Loco is
gotta
insane.
put-
So it's like it's a triple play on words.
Yeah. Crazy motive.
Yeah.
Fischozo was asking, wasn't there a game with an evil Thomas the Tank Engine?
I believe so. That was based off of like it became like a creepypasta type game that it was based off of like an animation that somebody did or whatever. I don't remember if it came out, but if it did, it was like one of those small scale things, like Slenderman and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I want a new train simulator that's not too complicated because
Yeah.
I used to play Shoot, I don't even remember what it was called. I don't think it was called Train Simulator. Was it called? Shoot. Why am I blanking on the name? Well, there was one game called. God damn it, I can't even remember. Hold on, I've got it in my Steam library actually. Or maybe I don't. Well, there's Travel Tycoon, which I really loved. That was like a 1990s kind of pixel game. And then I think it was called Railroad Tycoon. That's what it was. Let's play a game called Railroad Tycoon. And it was fun to like build up new vehicles or new trains in the case of Railroad Tycoon. And then, you transport people between towns and you transport goods.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of complexity, but it didn't get like crazy complex. Because I've looked at things, I think there's maybe even a modern Railroad Tycoon, and I looked at it and I was like, this looks so damn complicated. I just don't even.
I
don't
want
want that.
I want Tokyo Metro Simulator, where all I am is just the conductor on the Tokyo Metro line, and that's it. And very, very, very simple. Just got to keep on schedule. You only get like a minute before you have to go again. If you're off by a second, they deduct. Like that'd be fun. Like just the pressure, but also simple. Like no controls.
But like, have you ever played Mini Metro?
I think
you heard
so,
of that? That's an awesome game to me because it's so freaking simple.
Yeah.
There's dots that represent the towns, and you draw lines between the dots, and your trains go back and forth.
I didn't play it myself. I watched an actual city planner play that game, which was interesting because he's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna make the worst looking city possible, but this is gonna be the most efficient way." And it was this guy with this actual like engineering degree in city planning was like doing these crazy routes, and he was just getting the high score on every single level.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now you did miss two very important indie games. Of course, we've probably talked about them before. I know we've talked about one of them, but one of them is obviously Final Fantasy, it's not Final Fantasy. Fantasy Life I.
Yeah, I was saying Final Fantasy is not an indie game. I don't care how much Square wants to push that.
No. Fantasy Life I comes out in the summer. I don't know if Level 3 is a indie studio either.
I don't think they are. I think at minimum they'd be single A.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But definitely an indie game that you definitely missed, but it doesn't have a release date yet other than 2024. Cat Quest 3 is coming out next year.
Oh, well, it wasn't on the list, so.
I am freaking psyched about Cat Quest 3 because Cat Quest 1 and 2 are fantastic. If you've not played them, I think they're on mobile. They're on mobile and they're on everything. I think they're on Switch, and definitely PC. They're really fun. And the cat puns are actually quite, I'll just say humorous. I'm not going to say hilarious, but they're fun. So, and apparently Cat Quest 3, there is sailing, which there never was in the other ones, and you can actually sail through the Caribbean as an example of the puns in that game.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough how I think it really flies under the radar. It's by this company called the Gentle Bros, who I believe also did what was that little pixel? No, that might have been a different game. Anyway, yeah, the Cat Quest series is really, really good. It's fun. I would highly recommend trying it if you've never played it.
Yeah, well, definitely flying under the radar because it was not on the list of upcoming indie titles.
Well, maybe because they don't have a definite release date. I'm not sure.
I don't think most of those did. A lot of them, it was just to be announced 2024.
Yeah.
It's probably because a lot of those, like some of them, like I said, I remember from one of the Nintendo indie showcases of like things that are coming up but don't have a definitive date. Some of them were like a few other things. It's probably because Cat Quest just hasn't been in a major showcase or anything.
Yeah, and I don't know why. It's a really fantastic indie game. It's I mean, there's a ton of weapons and armor and magic, and the neat thing about Cat Quest 2 is you can do different builds depending on your preferences. You can do a mostly magic, where you attack things from a distance. You can do mostly melee, and you have 2 characters in the second one, a cat and a dog, and you can basically, so it gives you the option to sort of switch builds. So you can have like one that's melee, one that's magic, and it's a really cool game. It's an action adventure game. It's like real-time action adventure. So highly recommend
Yeah,
it.
action adventure games are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
With a ridiculous
since-
amount of puns.
ever since Nintendo made Zelda, a lot of action adventure games before that were just awful because people just did not understand the genre yet.
Yeah, and it can be challenging, but like, you know, if you go slowly and, you know, raise levels, then, you know, the harder parts become easier, or you can challenge yourself and go to difficult areas. It's an open world game too. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that are under the radar that wasn't on that list. I know there was, I think, because I was gonna say Alien Hominid Invasion, but I think that already came out this year, and I just haven't picked it up yet. Which, I know the beta was earlier this year. I think I might have missed the actual release date. But it was either already out late this year or it's coming out soon next year. But definitely people need to pick up Alien Hominid Invasion because it's Alien Hominid. You know, it's one of those, it's a classic Behemoth game. One of those kind of forefront things from Newgrounds. And it's... Alien Hominid was like one of the first indie games to actually like from the internet to actually get a console release back on the GameCube and Xbox era, just like really early for those type of games. And the sequel is just I played the beta. It's fun. It's really fun. It's just as multiplayer as it was before. It's hard to decide.
So
Winter sales are going on right now. Everything's so cheap. People are losing
I
their
know.
minds.
Let me see here. Oh, and there was another game I was going to mention. And it's out now. It's called Ratopia. And I don't remember where I saw this, but it is out on Steam. And there is a demo if you want to try it. I don't know that if you're familiar with it, but if anyone is a fan of Oxygen Not Included.
I think we already talked about this.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Utopia?
Yeah.
Maybe we talked about it last time. Well, I played it. I played the demo. It's great. It's really cool. It's a lot like Oxygen Not Included. The only difference is in Oxygen Not Included, you don't have direct control over anyone. You give orders and you give like an order of operations. Like you can say, you know, you should always build first and then dig and then do the, you know, and then repair. And in this game, you do have control of one character. All the other ones just follow your orders. But at least if you want like something specific done like right now, you can have your character go and do it, which is really kind of a nice addition to sort of the Oxygen Not Included formula. But it's really cool. It's like it's a 2D town builder game where you research new technologies and you build up your town, and it's cute.
Well, that kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy 12 in a way, right? Where it's like you've got the person you're controlling at the time, but then you can set up like this logic tree, the Gambit system of like what they do at what priority. I want more games to do that, right? Because I like controlling a character, but also if I want other characters around, I want to be able to pick what their priorities of what they do. That just needs to become a more common thing for single-player party-based systems, or even army systems, or whatever you're doing, whether it's a town builder or it's an RPG. I don't care. It just needs to be a thing. Yeah. Logic is easy. Of course it's a good way to teach people logic too, right? That don't already know it.
Yeah. And the other thing that's different, if anyone is familiar with Oxygen Not Included, is that each individual rat in your town, and you can have 20, 30, 50 eventually, has their own sort of economy. So like in the town, it's not just about sort of building this society that kind of works, but you also have to make sure that the town has enough like wealth, money to do things, but each individual rat has their own wealth, and so they have, you make sure that everyone has a job they essentially charge for, and so they can be happy and buy things for themselves, and it's building up this whole little village. So it's kind of cool. Starts out very simple and gets very complex if you want it to be.
That's typically the direction games should go. Wow, like, I don't know. A lot of games tend to go in the opposite direction these days for some reason. It's like, probably just because of bad design. It'll start off really complex, like we're going to front load you with all the information that you need. And then by the time you get to the end game, you realize, I really only need this one thing to get through everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's the little tutorial. I mean, I've only played the demo. I haven't actually bought it yet. But, it tells you, like, here's how you make a bed. Here's how you make a bathroom. You have to build a bathroom, or toilet. And then here's how to build a couple of little very simple buildings. And then eventually it's like, okay, good luck. And then then you're building these complex machines that interact with each other in these complex ways. And yeah, it gets really deep and interesting. So check it out. And the demo's free.
Free demo. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think that's it for the show, for our Christmas show. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please share it off with other people. Anyone, I don't care whether they like it or not, force them to watch it. We might have a few changes coming up to the show in the upcoming year. Stick around for that. We might be separating the show into 2 different shows. Same schedule, but might be more focused. Might have different names. You'll find all that out soon. If you really enjoy the show, to help support that, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/Vomitorium Live, or you could, I don't know, buy any of my merch that's anywhere. I just put up a whole bunch of stuff on my spring store that you can find. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Mark Chrysler.